Hi Aquarius, how are you? So we have Pluto in Aquarius. And it's going to be there until 2043. The last time that Pluto was in Aquarius was in 1777. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory. Maybe you can get to know me a little bit more, and you can have better context as to what your message is going to be. When I was little, when I was 4 years old, I came to America with my mom and my 2 older brothers, and my mom worked really, really hard as a single mom to raise us. She bought her first home when I was about 7 years old or so. And she had a really good paying job. She was rather successful, but we lived a very non-traditional life. Our home was very non-traditional. We didn't eat in dinner tables and talked about our days, or I spent a lot of my time alone. By the time I was in 5th grade, because my mom was working, I did my laundry. I learned how to do my laundry. I learned how to cook. I learned how to clean. I learned how to make myself lunch for school, wake myself up to go to school. I got myself back home from school. And I spent many years, even like going into my teenage years, really becoming self-reliant and independent within myself. And it wasn't until I had my kids and my own family that I realized the importance of certain traditional values that were not instilled in me when I was little, because my mom, of course, was a single mom and she was working really hard, but nevertheless, she did have a very strong stance on her independency. I remember even growing up, she was just a very strong, independent woman, like truly. And I didn't realize that because of that, because I didn't have at least a certain amount of traditional values within my home space, I missed out on many opportunities, educational. I got myself involved with, the wrong partners, romantic partners. I didn't have the best group of people that were surrounding me, because I didn't have really anybody to tell me otherwise, And I also didn't realize until later that I was holding on to a freedom that wasn't of mine. It was my mother's. My mother had that life path, that karma to live and advocate within freedom, independency, so to speak. Because a lot of people now, they talk about freedom a lot, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, tell me something I don't know. And many people, they don't know that this whole independence, freedom stuff is something that has been quite, it's been around for quite some time, right? So the people who are going right now into the whole freedom, advocacy, my rights, and so on and so forth, remember, there's people that went before you. And again, let me backtrack to the whole thing about holding on to my mom's freedom. I didn't realize that until I looked at my chart, and I didn't realize the necessity of me being a little bit more restrictive within myself. Just because I wanted something doesn't necessarily mean that I need it, right? And many times I see a lot of people advocating for freedom and rights because their friends are for it, or because a loved one, because of a family member. It could be because of a passion that they have. But a lot of the times I see people holding on to other people's advocacy and socialism as a way to kind of get on board with other people, right? When you really have no business doing that, right? You may have a whole different karma that has nothing to do with this whole freedom, advocacy, socialism stuff. That, let's just face it, guys, there's more to Pluto in Aquarius than freedom. There's innovation, there's, humanitarian, there's, technology, anything that has to do with like the collective, right? The world, right? Not your country. Not your family, the world, right? So if you're here like, oh, I'm just going to protect my family because they're family, a Pluto in Aquarius is going to taste really nasty. Yeah. If you're like doing it because, oh, this is my country, yeah, Pluto in Aquarius is going to taste really gross. Because it has nothing to do with standing up for other people. It has to do first with standing up for what you find freedom. And the reason why I say that is because when I was growing up, I grew up with that independency, freedom type of thing, type of deal, especially being raised by a single mom. And when I transitioned over to more of a traditional lifestyle and I was a little bit more restrictive with myself, I found more freedom in that. Whereas many people may look at it and be like, wow, you're trapping yourself like in this cage. And it's like, I'm actually thriving. Yeah, like I lost weight. I quit smoking cigarettes. I smoked cigarettes from the age of 16 up until like my 20s or so. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And, but nevertheless, I just want to say that your freedom may look completely different than a person advocating for a certain right in front of a building, in front of a government building, in front of like a group of people, whatever it is. I will say this, with Pluto being in Aquarius, you have to really understand where you stand within your own self-realization of who you are, right? And who you are today may be completely different than who you are going to be tomorrow and 30 years from now and 40 years from now. And how beautiful is that, right? Nothing should be the same. Everything should forever be changing and like evolving. But oftentimes we do get into that human space where we want it a certain type of way and we are not cognizant of the fact that you can't rush a certain process without understanding the basics and the foundations of where it even started. So in other words, the freedom in which you're trying to find yourself in is the freedom in which you held yourself back from. Nobody can give you freedom. Nobody can give you freedom. Nobody can also control you. There's no such thing as someone controlling you and someone giving you freedom or giving you the okay. You're holding yourself back in this illusion that you need to have someone's, let's just say, acceptance or approval or, or a pat on the back for whatever you're trying to build or for whatever you believe in. And I will say this to you, Aquarius, no matter what people tell you, because like that's the thing about like when it comes down to like this era nowadays, it's like everyone has their feelings, right? I have my feelings, my rights, my way. This is my sovereignty. And of course, absolutely. But remember, no one can give you anything that you cannot first give yourself. So in other words, besides going in front of people and demanding something, why don't you go and be the actual change? That's Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius is not going to give you what you want. Maybe with, Pluto in Pisces, Jupiterian, or Aries. But when it comes down to Aquarius, Aquarius is not a selfish sign. I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about the sign. It's ironic how people identify themselves within like a sign. I don't, but to each his own. But when it comes down to Pluto and Aquarius, I want you to make sure that you're picking your freedom in the wisest way, right? Don't be doing it because so-and-so did it or so-and-so did not do it, so I'm going to go ahead and take over. Make sure that it's coming from you, from your inner self. And make sure also that you are not dismantling something important that your ancestors have built, because that can turn really, really, really nasty. But I'm going to leave it there, Aquarius. I hope you guys have a good holiday and have a great day.